So Carmen,
Yes. Hi.
welcome
Thank
to
you.
our next session episode of Life with Lee. So,
Thank you.
I set up Life with Lee as a way to, provide a broader audience than the clients that I'm currently dealing with Discovery
Yes.
on just people's stories and some of my stories, some of our traveling. I always thought of it as traveling, healthcare, and life in general.
Yes.
I mean, fundamentally, we're all hopefully getting older, and as you get older, you sort of think more differently than you did when you were 10 years younger, and you try and unravel some of the questions that that life comes at you with.
Absolutely.
And it's always good to share other people's experiences or your own experiences and their sort of solutions as to how they overcome certain challenges of life, whether it's like depression, anxiety, cancer, traveling, just like where to go to, those kind of things. I mean, we've had the privilege, like I said to you, of going to Croatia last year and doing a bit of sailing.
Yes.
So it was a great experience, and sharing that experience with other people and being able to make myself available to ask certain questions
Yes.
on those experiences. So thank you for joining us
Absolute
on this
pleasure. Thanks
episode
for
of Life with Lee.
making it happen.
Yes, and
So quickly.
Yes, so quickly. So you were referred to me about your health issue.
Yes.
And you were on Discovery, so we're
Yes.
going to talk about Discovery Health.
Yes.
You're going to discuss basically your condition and the prognosis and the treatments that you've had to try and work through and are working through this current condition.
Yes.
And we've come on board and basically managed your health claims, which is what we do.
Yes.
And we don't charge you any extra.
Very well, thank
As
you.
We're
We're
going to
very
get my bill
grateful
soon.
for it. Yeah.
So we help process all the claims so that can take away the frustration. And if there's issues with Discovery, which there sometimes is in any large organization, we try and manage those issues to give you more clarity and to help get those claims processed as smoothly as possible.
Exactly.
So we basically take the frustration away from you so that you can cope with getting better.
Yes. And it's been an enormous help. Thank you.
Has it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really
Honestly.
glad.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, I remember when we saw you were still on the Coastal Core.
Yes.
And the Coastal Core only had, I think, 250,000 rands worth
That's
of oncology benefit.
Yep.
And we've upgraded you onto the Classic Comprehensive for this year to try and maximize the more that we're getting, the greater benefits that we're getting off the comprehensive plan with Discovery. And even though it's more expensive, when you actually
break it down,
think that you're actually paying more, but you're actually getting a lot more benefits for your condition.
Yeah.
And hopefully this condition will fade away.
Yes.
And then we can migrate back down to a Coastal Core, Coastal Saver, or something less expensive. And that's what we actually do. We manage that whole process.
And we're very grateful because we caught it in the last 5 days of last year.
Yes.
And it is really proving itself, because obviously that savings account that I used to think was nonsense will come into fruition. So it comes off that bulk payment that you're making every month. So
correct.
Really using it quite regularly.
Yes, and we actually manage it. So we know exactly how much is coming out of savings, how much they're paying out of the hospital benefit for your treatment. I learn. For me, I love learning, and I learn a lot through my clients' experiences. So, if we can learn from each other, then we can help each other.
Yes.
That's it. I think I firstly just want to thank you as well for your vulnerability to be and discuss your condition. A lot of people are closed off and don't want other people to know what they're going through. And everyone's entitled to their opinion. My opinion is we're all part of the human race. We're all together as people, and different people will go through similar conditions to what you've gone through, maybe slightly different. And if we can expose ourselves and share what's been good for us and what has worked for us, it's a way of actually helping other people processing and getting through difficult periods of life.
Absolutely, to the point. I think vulnerability and open-minded and curiosity are a big part of the healing. So it's essential to allow yourself to be vulnerable, because a lot of energetic imbalance with cancer is the inability to receive. And so by being vulnerable and sharing, you're not only allowing yourself to receive, but you're then making more connections to be able to help other people. So I think though it's essential.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm grateful for that, and I'm sure a lot of the people that do watch this will actually hopefully also learn something. So let's get on to you. I mean, when were you diagnosed? How did they find out that you had this condition? What were the symptoms that you were experiencing? Let's roll out with that.
So I'll go. I was thinking about it this morning because I was chatting to somebody else. But I think the first day I realized something was wrong. It was the 3rd of January, 2 years ago, so 2023.
23 years.
We were sitting having a meal, and halfway through the meal I buckled over and I was reeling around in the bathroom floor for an hour with pain. And I thought that's like just, it's enough of my stomach being sore, because I've had tummy issues since I was 16. I've always eaten really healthily, 3 meals a day, done all the right stuff, but I just always have this, it's obviously a weak disposition to having imbalanced microbiome, which I think is very prevalent in our kind of generation and in the world at the moment. But let's go back, May to July 2023. So that kind of was a catalyst for my stomach just really showing me that it wasn't happy. But from May to July 2023, I had whooping cough that I caught from my daughter, and my immune system dropped so badly I thought I was going to die. There were a couple of nights where I thought, I don't think I've ever been that sick in my life.
Sure.
And towards the end of that, I went for blood tests because I wanted to, by seeing the pulmonologists, because of the whooping cough.
Yeah.
One misdiagnosed me with asthma, and I happened to have another doctor that was a backup, and I forgot to cancel the appointment. So we made the appointment, and he got me to check my iron levels, which was the beginning of realizing that I had no iron in my body. I was chronically anemic. During that year, I went to about 5 specialists, and no one picked up anything. They just kept doing more blood tests. I had iron infusions, I had blood transfusions, I had bone biopsies, my iron was lasting 5 weeks, and then I was flatlining again. So they kept saying, even the hematologist, one of the Cape Town's top hematologists, said, you have to be bleeding somewhere, but we don't know where. But not at one point, and this is my first, when we go shout outs to the general public, if something's feeling wrong and you're not sure what's going on inside your body, go and have a scan. It costs 5,000 to 7,000 rand. Your medical aid will generally pay for it, depending on what you're on.
Yeah.
But I could have requested one. I didn't know I was able to. So not one of those specialists requested a scan, which would have revealed the cancer. By December, I was feeling really bad. My colon was now being blocked by the tumor, unbeknown to me. Again, the same pulmonologist who uncovered the low iron sent me for a liver and a spleen scan to see if all the iron was making my liver enlarged. And the liver and the spleen were fine, but they picked up the Kuchenberg's tumors on the ovaries, which is where the cancer had spread to. So they didn't pick up the primary tumor. They sent me off to a gynae who checked that tumor and said it's benign, it's just a mass of cells, go and enjoy your holiday, we'll check again in a couple of months. Came back, but now that he mentioned there's a tumor, I was now starting to feel something around my colon area. When I came back, I said, but what is this lump in my colon? And he said, no, that's just your colon, it's fine, it should be fine. So he sent me away. 3 days later, I said to my partner, it's not feeling right. This lump has sharp edges. It's a weird, something that's not supposed to be there. So I phoned him again, and he was a great gynae, very obliging. Went back in, said, I won't charge you, just come back and let's do a manual check. And that's when all the shit hit the fan.
So this is now 2024.
Late January, yeah.
2024.
End of Jan 24. So that was a year of being
so we
unwell
started in
and
May,
the iron
basically.
story.
So we started in May.
Well, July they
issues.
detected the low iron.
Yes, July.
And so basically for the rest of that year, we were in and out
months.
of specialists, yeah. And I also, again, general advice, everyone's story is so different, but I got led down a rabbit hole by an autoimmune specialist who told me I definitely didn't have cancer, I had an autoimmune disease, got me to 30,000 rands worth of blood tests on my account. nothing came up. Said he was going to hold my hand, lead me through it. And you kind of almost want to cling on to somebody. And I kind of almost then refuted and kind of put off all the cancer research, because I didn't not go down that, but I didn't panic about it anymore. And I think if I hadn't have spoken to him and he hadn't have convinced me that it wasn't cancer, I might have pushed a little bit more on the cancer side, you know what I mean? So I kind of went down this rabbit hole, and the minute it turned out that I had cancer, I have never heard from him again. So, you know, it's in terms of doctors and people you don't know, it's like you really have to start tapping into your own intuition and listening to what feels right, because the whole time I knew something was wrong, but I kept waiting for doctors to get back to me. So you've almost got to learn to push the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, like people go, they didn't say I need a scan, so I don't need a scan. You need to, if you don't feel well, you need to push the boundaries and say, I need, and emails coming back, like I mailed one doctor 3 times, got no response. You know, when you just go, push it, and you're tired at the time, but you have to realize if you get sick, you're going to be tired anyway. So at the time, I should have been emailing and really getting onto it then. So addressing problems that come up immediately and kind of with full force if you don't feel well. You know, so that was probably like a big thing for me.
I just want to interrupt you for 1 second. So, because we are talking about scans and things. So on the coastal call, which you were on, obviously scans are not covered outside of being in the hospital where they would be covered. So you'd have to pay the entire scan yourself, whether it's 3 or 4 or 7 or 10,000 Rand, you'd pay it out yourself. And if there's a problem, they put you in hospital and then you get diagnosed with a cancer, you'd fall on the oncology benefit, and then scans would be covered. But I think, just so we don't go too fast, I think that is, to me, one of the primary reasons I tell people, listen, you need to have gap cover. Because even if you're on a coastal call plan, I mean, the gap cover that we use would still pay you 4,500 Rand, even if the medical aid didn't pay anything towards it.
Yes. And
obviously, if you're on a saver plan, which is, you know, based on affordability, what I think people should be on, is at least a saver plan. And the reason to have a saver plan is if you need an MRI scan and you have the gap cover, you potentially getting the whole gap cover for free, because you're paying the co-payment. The medical aids, the hospital plans paying the balance of that, the price of that gap of the MRI or CT scan, and then you are claiming that co-payment back from the gap cover, so you're actually not paying for your CT or MRI scan, which can be very expensive because, I mean, I know that I went for a CT angio back in December 2022, just as a precautionary checkup, and that was 18,500 Rand, that scan, so they're not cheap. But coming back to what you're saying, I think if people need to take some ownership for themselves, especially if they're feeling pain or not certain of what's going on, and not just say, well, let me just listen to what the doctor or this is saying, because, you know, doctors can be wrong. I mean, we love doctors. They do an amazing job. And they're hectically busy.
Unfortunately, they're just a little bit overloaded.
They're overloaded. Especially the top guys are overloaded. And it's not, you know, we're not sitting here blaming doctors. But it's like you're saying, people need to take ownership for themselves and rather say, listen, I want to go and have an MRI scan. I'm paying for it. Can you just give me the slip so that I can go and do it for my own peace of mind? Because people want peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Like being a little bit more.
So you had the MRI scan. It
revealed the cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, one thing I'd like to say is there are so many inspirational books out there, of which my most inspirational is Radical Remission.
Radical Remission.
Radical Remission.
Yeah.
If you haven't read it and you don't have cancer, read it anyway.
Yes.
Because I read that post being diagnosed, but pre being diagnosed, I read a couple of books that really gave me inspiration to not buy into the macabre prognosis. Because within 3 hours of being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, I had a surgeon come in and say, we can operate on you, but we can't save your life. So as a person, is that what she said? Sorry. Absolutely.
Like, we can operate on you, but we can't save your life.
Yeah.
So you went, so I just want to just backtrack a second. So you started in July with these things. You had an MRI scan in January of 2025.
Yeah.
2024, sorry. 2024. We're in 2025 now.
Yeah.
And you were diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Yes.
Not
So-
1 or 2 or 3.
No.
4.
4. Very cynical kind of prognosis all round. All the eyes going, we're so sorry this has happened. The guy who actually eventually uncovered it was like, I'm so sorry, we feel we failed you, but it's obviously just bad luck that it's been missed
Yeah.
and become stage 4. But not focusing on the negative. The positive is that there are so many inspirational books that tell you that stage 4 just means it's spread. It's, don't listen to the diagnosis, not the prognosis. Because we subsequently then went to our first oncologist. She also said, we give you 2 to 8 years, not decades. So again, diagnosis, cancer stage 4, don't listen, they can't give you the prognosis. In this day and age, there is a minefield and minefield has a negative connotation. There's a well of uncovered natural treatments that is just there, but not being promoted because it's not big pharma. Big pharma's not plugging the money into it. So the stuff you almost have to, if you're searching for something that's natural or some alternative treatment, you have to search for it. It's not going to come at you. People aren't advertising, they're offering it. But you have to have the curiosity and the inquisitive nature and the determination to uncover that stuff.
Just talking about that, I think one of the things that can overwhelm people is that when you go and search for alternative treatments, there is so much thrown at you.
I still feel overwhelmed.
Yes, I can imagine
later.
that you're actually not sure what to believe anymore.
Yeah.
So we believe the normal medicine field. Chemotherapy, radiotherapy, removing the tumor. And that's the normal way. And now that when you open the door, it feels like a whole floodgate of things are promising you something, and some of them cost a lot of money, and a lot of people don't have the capital to go and try those things out, and they're left really overwhelmed.
Absolutely. So my perspective is, I was trying to figure out, because I'm not the big PR person, to try and do 2 formats of treatment, and the one is free. So there's a lot of stuff on the free side, almost free. Most of it, like some of it is free.
Less expensive.
Then there's the other stuff that costs, but you've got to then weigh up what you want to do. So Dr. Goldberg, obviously vitamin C infusions, ozone, mistletoe. You can put like little tips. Most people who are in a lot of different chemotherapies cause peripheral neuropathy. It can be debilitating.
What does that mean, peripheral neuropathy? So people can understand what we're talking about.
It's neuropathy of the peripheral nerve, so it's basically pain and loss of function in your peripherals. So your feet and your hands, it can even go...
So pain.
It can even go into your organs.
Yeah.
It's pain, numb and pain and burny feeling. Everyone experiences it differently. Yeah. The first chemo I had, I couldn't go into the fridge. I couldn't do things. Like for the first 3 or 4 days, I couldn't cut stuff. You just get this like inability to use the tips of the fingers, and then again, it makes them very susceptible to infections. So if you cut yourself and you become quite clumsy, so double-edged sword. So you've got to be very cautious. And then with some people, even when they finish chemo, it gets worse and worse and worse. So
is that when they finish the session of chemo?
The rounds.
The round. Yeah. Because you have multiple rounds.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I weirdly enough had a very fortunate and unfortunate 2-month gap in my chemo, which allowed the cancer count to go up again. So I almost had to start at ground zero again. But that 2-month period allowed me to realize that my peripheral neuropathy was getting worse. Mm-hmm. So by the end of the 2 months, when they wanted to start the same type of chemo again, midnight before chemo, I said, I can't. I realized that my peripheral neuropathy is getting worse, and if it gets worse, it can become permanent. Yeah. So we changed chemotherapies.
You changed oncology, you changed
not oncologist yet.
You changed the formula.
I do change the formula.
Yes.
So they say, and then the oncologist said, at some point, everyone gets to that point where they can't carry on with this chemo, but we wait for the cues from the patient. And then some patients feel they need to push it a little bit, like that whole, let me be strong and get through it, the chemo will be working more. It's not the right way to go. You've got to be very intuitive and go, what is working for me? Because again, you're saying there's so much out there. You have to really start. It's a very difficult thing to ask people to do, because a lot of A-type people find it harder to drop back into that listening to your intuition. So we're always pushing more, better, bigger, faster. I must exercise today. Am I exercising and feeling exhausted because I shouldn't be exercising, or should I be pushing through the exhaustion so I can feel better? It's very difficult to kind of analyze all this stuff.
And so it's a personal thing, basically.
Yeah,
one should listen to themselves.
Thing. Absolutely.
Listen to your body.
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest people who cure themselves of cancer are the ones that are able to go in. And it's still difficult for me because I meditate twice a day if I can. One of the best free treatments, healing treatments. But in order to meditate and make permanent change, according to Joe Dispenza, you need to sync heart and brain. Very difficult to sync heart when you're lying in your own room at home and you're going, I'm feeling the love for the world. Whatever. I've got so much on today. I'm feeling the love for the world. I'm feeling it.
Yes.
Am I feeling it? I don't think I'm feeling it. You know that. So there are various ways: music, group meditations. You've got to immerse yourself. So if I'm in a group meditation and listening to really evocative music, I feel my heart just going like this. Or if I think about the earth, like if I think about people, it becomes quite hard because it's so intense with your kids. You can tap into it. But the bottom line is, one of the best forms of free treatment is meditation of any kind. Prayer for people it's all meditation.
Yes.
You've got lots of teas, and there are lots of natural, reasonably cheap or like medications. There's soursop, there's cancer bush, local cancer fighter. There's Essiac tea, which is a mixture of herbs. There are so many amazing things that are very inexpensive that people have said have cured them of stage 4 cancer with no other help. Brain power, meditation, a little bit of herbal supplementation.
But it doesn't work for everybody. So
no.
So we need a combined treatment plan. We're not knocking chemotherapy because obviously it does help, but there's also other stuff that you could be taking at the same time to boost your immune system.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. So again, my natural oncologist, Helen Muir, who is a guru and an amazing woman, but very, very, very overwhelmed with the amount of clients she has at the moment. I think she only takes stage 4 people at the moment. At one point pointed out I was taking too many immune boosters.
Yes.
So it's a very fine line. You can't go, I'm taking the soursop and the Essiac and the cancer bush and an immune booster from Goldberg and something else and echinacea all at the same time. Your body's going to be very confused.
Especially your gut health.
Especially gut health. Yeah. So it's tricky to say what really resonates with people and works, but as far as treatments go, Goldberg, all the natural stuff, the natural teas, the meditation. So the pyramid of health, I think now again I've been quite naughty. I haven't had enough sleep, and I could have been doing a bit more on the cardio side. So the cardio and exercise, sleep, nutrition. If you keep seeing those as a pyramid of health and you make sure that you get the sleep you need, you can be doing everything else on the other side. But if your sleep's not there, your body's not able to regenerate itself. And if you're not getting good sleep, there are ways to get good sleep without having to take sleeping tablets. Melatonin is a great cancer fighter. It breaks down tumors or blocks the tumor pathway, I think. You can take up to 50 milligrams a night. 2 milligrams works to sleep. You can take up to 50. It doesn't make a difference to your sleep. You're going to sleep well and you're fighting your cancer at the same time. So those are also, that's not very expensive. These are just supplements that you can take that help you get into the zone of healing.
Yeah.
And then I have done other stuff. So
let's talk about. Let's just talk because I know you've mentioned ivermectin.
Yes.
That you've had a course of ivermectin.
And fenbendazole.
And fenbendazole. We've also heard about fenbendazole. So, how did that work?
So I can't get into the. When people go, how does it actually work?
Because it's going to work differently for different people.
It works.
So,
yeah.
Exactly.
And I know intuitively after a year of thinking about it that my cancer. I think with my stomach issues was primarily parasite related. Yeah. Which it's in the books. Studies say that cancer comes from parasites, and I've always had, if I go to an iridologist or any natural people, they'd go parasites, deal with the parasites. So I know that's the thing for me, and I know intuitively that I feel better when I'm taking ivermectin and fenben. I feel good. I feel better. So it's tackling something in my body.
Yes.
I've also done the SCIO, SCIO machine at 2 different places, 2 different SCIO machines, which are diagnostic equipment, diagnostic tools. And both of them come up with amoebas and parasites as top priority. So a SCIO machine will analyze your whole body and tell you what's the priority for you right now, whether it's sleep or a supplement or a medication or something. Both of them came up with that. Different people, different places, same result.
How much was that to do that SCIO machine? I've never heard of it. What? SCIO machine?
Yeah, SCIO.
Okay.
So there are various ones. Helen has one, and then a woman called Simone Sittig, who's a great, she does B3, fascial release. Mm-hmm. But she's very invested in holistic health, so she does it on the side as a diagnostic tool for her, only for clients who want it. It's not something that she claims to be professional at. But the machine is there, and it kind of gives you the...
So it identified for you parasite.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, Fenben and ivermectin are a no-brainer.
Did it help you?
Particularly, well, the thing is, it's like I feel it makes me feel better.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, as far as blood tests and things go, there's one guy, American guy, you can Google just fenbendazole and can't remember his name, but he was diagnosed with 65, I think, diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, had got 6 months to live, only did fenben, no chemo, and he was cleared. So it has to be something.
I think it's like we said, the body will react differently
to different things.
In different people.
Yeah, and
so it's not one size fits all.
But we all have the ability to heal ourselves.
Yes.
We all do.
To a point.
Well, the thing is, according to, if you go into Joe Dispenza's like meditations and his philosophy, we all have the ability to change. Our cells regenerate. Our entire body is a new body every year.
Yeah.
Our organs are regenerating themselves every couple of months. So the problem comes in when we're rehearsing. Our brain is rehearsing the same negativity or just stagnant thoughts. Not even negativity, just stagnant thoughts. Not projecting the future thoughts. Not really positive, like I'm going to get better thoughts. And it is a bit of a mind fuck in a way, because you're going, I need to be that person. How do you just be that person?
Especially when you're struggling.
Especially when you feel weak.
And you're sick, because if you're going through chemo, a lot of people are getting ill and feeling sick.
Absolutely.
And
And again, radical remission. She was a physiotherapist, as far as I remember. My chemo brain is quite prevalent. It's a real thing, chemo brain.
Yeah.
But she was a physiotherapist who was helping cancer patients, and she was working alongside the doctors. And she realized that these radical remissions kept coming up where people were just healing themselves, but the doctors kept slipping those pamphlets, their files underneath to the bottom of the pile. And she said she asked the doctor why they're doing that and why he doesn't tell the patients about the other people who've had radical remissions. And they said, no, but you're going to give them false hope. Okay. They must go down the medical route, you know.
Course.
And the bottom line is, if you look at this radical remission book or look at all the stories, it's almost like everyone has their own little secret code that they can tap into. But one of the primary things she did, she went out and researched, I think, 1,500 people. And then she said she blanketed 9 commonalities between them that were helping them heal. And the one is spirituality. I'm not going to remember them all, but diet, your exercise, support, positive thinking, attitude, support. Yeah. Very, very important. And a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people feel they're putting trauma on their family, so they have to almost be brave and ignore their symptoms.
Like withdraw, you mean?
Not necessarily, but just they don't want
to burden their family.
They don't have the privilege of being vulnerable with their family.
Yeah.
And they're still working. So I'm trying to think of, so obviously the other ones were medication, chemo, natural treatments, meditation. These are blankets of all the people that healed themselves. Most of them had all of these 9 factors involved in their treatment.
So I think what I'm hearing you saying is that it's again taking that ownership for yourself.
Yes.
and doing some research yourself.
Yes.
I'm not saying ignore your doctor at
Absolutely.
all, or your oncologist, but finding out for yourself what can work.
Yeah.
Maybe getting hold of this talk and maybe reading that book, or exploring ivermectin with certain people that are prepared to give it to you,
Yeah.
that actually can think maybe more out of the box.
Yeah.
I mean, because when you're fighting for your life, you're actually really fighting for your life.
Absolutely.
With this stuff. So, yeah, I mean, I had a client, which I still want to do an interview with, is she was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma.
Yes.
And really, that's not a very good prognosis either. And she went on 12 months of immunotherapy.
This is one you're talking about?
That I told you
Yes,
about.
yeah.
No, not the one in Switzerland. This is local in Cape Town. Yeah, they were doing it.
Yes.
And she's in total remission after 12.
The immunotherapy is amazing if
12
you're a
months.
candidate for it. Yeah.
Yes, if you're a candidate for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that was 120,000 Rand a month.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't have, like in her case, 1.4 million Rand. So, she had to get the support of family, and they raised money for her to have that immunotherapy.
Yeah.
And then another one, I'm just talking about immunotherapy quickly.
Yes.
So one of my other clients got stage 4 melanoma.
Yeah.
And she's in her late 50s. And she had 7 sessions, 7 courses of also immunotherapy. And for her, it also worked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there has definitely been
There's an enormous,
some amazing...
We've had a light year shift in...
Yes, in the way
general,
that people can be treated. I think one of the biggest challenges is a lot of these, let's call them biological cancer treatments or alternative treatments, are not covered by the medical aid because they're not really so-called approved yet.
Yeah.
So then you have to pay for them in cash.
Yes.
And a lot of people just don't have that kind
Absolutely.
of cash lying around for this. So, I mean, from an advisory point of view, I mean, I've always said, everyone should have some illness cover. So besides your medical aid and your gap cover, you've got to have some illness cover.
Well, according with the research that we did, all the chats we had, dread diseases are no brainer.
Yes.
You have to,
Yeah, and I mean,
especially in this day and age, because as much as we're learning to tackle these diseases as quickly as they're coming up, so the cancer rate is, I think it's trebled in the last, since COVID.
Well, I remember when my wife went for her mammogram, I asked her to ask the radiologist, what percentage of women that you're seeing are you finding cancer? And it was something like just under 3 to 1. So obviously technology's got a lot better.
Yes.
So with improvements in technology, they're able to pick up things much quicker.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yes. But 3 to 1's a lot.
3 to 1's a lot.
It's a lot.
If you actually go onto Google and you look at global cancer stats, I mean, the graph's sort of like that. It's not coming down. It's like
particularly there was a bit of an increase pre-COVID, but since COVID it's done that.
Yeah,
and that's
I mean, there's been a lot of turbo cancers as well that we've heard of.
So I think one of the biggest things, and they are saying it all the time, if you look at Facebook groups, the village, all of these places, they're saying go and preempt it. Go and check. Don't do a mammogram once every 2 years. Do it every year. Go for your colonoscopy twice as often as you should have, because turbo cancers are a real thing.
Yes.
But I think the biggest message to get out the general public is it is a real thing. This cancer thing is real. So anything, skin issues, you've got an itch in your head, don't leave it. I'm in the EE system, which is it's scalar waves, like quite expensive. So unfortunately, it's probably the most expensive treatment I'm doing. And you don't feel a dramatic difference, but you do feel a subtle shift. It's one of those things where don't ignore a bowel that's dysfunctional. Don't ignore a pain in your chest that's not going away. If you have a pain in your back, another acquaintance had a pain in her back. They diagnosed her with a spinal issue she was on anti-inflammatories for maybe 5 months. Mm-hmm. She had pancreatic cancer, and that was giving her the pain, but she was just masking it because they kept telling her, no one did a scan directly on it. I think they did an x-ray on the actual spine, but the x-ray is very different to a CT or MRI. If you've got pain that's not going away, some things your body's telling you.
That's why you're paying a medical aid.
Yeah.
It's like, tell the person, listen, I want to go and have it.
Yes.
Don't wait for them to
And
suggest
if
it.
you,
Just
if
say,
you
listen,
suggest to a doctor,
yeah.
generally they'll prescribe it for you, and that's not no skin off their back.
No.
And
You
can
paying
have
for
the
it.
test, yeah.
So what's it like looking for going forward for you? If you
We do 1 week at a time
Yeah.
because everything changes at the moment. Got a little hiccup with my cancer counts going up a bit, but I got quite lax in my diet over December. I was sleeping way too little, and
Well,
nutrition.
you're partying. You're partying too much.
We're just night owls. It's our
Okay.
time to we love life.
Yes.
So you can love. It's weird. I love life so much at the moment that we just want to enjoy every minute.
Yeah.
But you've got to still keep your discipline route. So I think every single round of chemo has been different, and every single month is different.
Yeah.
So we don't look further than. I was supposed to do 12 rounds of chemo. I've done 15, and I've got another 9 sitting there waiting. I think the chemo might be affecting my tummy negatively, so at some
Yeah.
point I might have to look for other options, different chemo. There are the 1 or 2 other chemos I can try. Every week is different. We just enjoy every moment because I think that's the biggest eye opener. Is that that's all we have, right?
Yes. I mean, we've got today.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
I mean, there's no guarantees.
Exactly.
I mean, one of the other things that I've brought to your attention is that that scientific lab in Switzerland
Yes.
that I think you're going to explore into,
Yes.
where they're developing an immunotherapy directly to target the cells that are
Yes.
actually going a bit crazy. So it's specifically designed for your blood system and for the cancer that you've got in. I mean, I don't know everything about it, but it's
Yes.
very targeted immunotherapy,
Yeah.
designed immunotherapy. So it's
Yeah.
not just broad-based immunotherapy. And it looks like it can, from the research that I've done and read, it targets certain cancer cells, like even colon cancer. I mean, quite a few cancers.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to suggest for you to go see Dr. Catherine.
We'll do anything.
Yes. So, I'm going to be here to help you along that journey.
Thank you.
I mean, it's great to be able to share this with you.
Exactly. And
You
the other
saw-
thing,
yeah.
again, little cherry on the top, live to live, don't live not to die. So keep spending time with your kids, your pets, do stuff that, you can't stop. But part of being alive is having that joie de vivre, wanting to be alive and the joy. Don't take it all away. So you do have to have that little bit of balance.
Yeah, well, thank you, Carmen. I
Absolute
really
pleasure.
appreciate you coming, your vulnerability, your story. I think a lot of people will learn from it.
Thanks.
Thank you.